Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to rise and say a few words on this bill. And I think there are just a few things that have changed. My colleague covered those. But it is important to note that once again, we're opening up the Financial Measures Act in the middle of a year. The Financial Measures Act is the act that operates to enact the budget, of course. But now this government is in the habit of opening up the act to tinker mid-year. And I think that's a precedent that we should watch because along with the outstanding appropriations that we've seen with no oversight, this is another way that the government enacts pieces of legislation with massive financial consequences without going through that process. It's another sidestep. I mean, if we're opening up the Financial Measures Act, why don't we figure out a way to get legislative oversight on appropriations? We would like to see that. I think to the merits of the bill, in terms of the pension plan, I would share my colleagues' comments. I think generally this seems to be welcomed, but in addition to the issues around how attractive that plan will be, if we can't index and keep it in a place where it can provide appropriate benefits for the members of that plan, you know, I want to quote, and this has been tabled in Committee of the Whole, the submission from the public sector unions, and they said, we understand Minister McMaster stated the Public Sector Superannuation Plan Trustee Inc. is supportive of the PSPPTA overall. We are aware of the PSSPPTI has supported this idea generally, as have our unions. However, our support was a high level of principle and did not pertain to the specific proposals in the bill. The details of these transfers are incredibly complex, and the legislation enabling them requires serious and thoughtful study. This section of the FMA should not move forward until all stakeholders are able to conduct a proper review of the legislation and an opportunity to provide comments. And so here we see, again, a pattern. We have not given the core stakeholders an opportunity for thoughtful study and to provide comments, and surely that could have been done. This was a conversation that was happening. And so the one other thing I wanted to mention is that there is the removal of a provision for referendums that would be necessary to add provincial HST on to a number of goods from which it is exempted now. So those would include diapers, children's clothing, accessibility aids, etc. And that does concern us. I think it's a tiny little provision, but it's an important one, especially given the cost of living challenges that people are experiencing. And so we would like to see, we understand that there's also a clause, you know, part of that clause operates to remove, which is why that change has been made, but we would have liked to see, or in a future date would like to see it reinstated, that there needs to be a referendum to add the provincial HST back, because those are things that people can't afford to pay that tax on often. As for the addition of the removal of HST to follow the lead of the federal Liberals, as my colleague in the Liberal Party mentioned, yes, I think it is likely that they will make construction somewhat more attractive from a financial perspective. I don't know that it will. In fact, I doubt that it will actually create more affordable housing. Developers are experiencing financial pressures, so it'll make it easier to go, but I don't know that it will make it more affordable. I don't think it will. And I'm also not sure it's going to create new units. And so, as with the other bills we've been talking about, we would actually have loved to hear a description of how that's going to work. And I think I heard the Premier say when this decision was made, well, we'll see. You know, we're willing to try things. And that's okay. We support that. But we want to see more than willing to try things. We'd love to see a plan for how we're actually going to get the units we need. So in conclusion, we support the bill. We have the questions that I've put forward, and I'll end where I began, which is to say we need better oversight of legislative of spending, and we need to use the FMA for the purpose that it was intended, when it was intended, and we need oversight on appropriations. I suspect we're back in the billions already, and it makes a mockery of our budget process and of a lot of the work we do here. Thank you.